Depression is a difficult subject. There's a lot that needs to be explained in terms of the definition, what depression actually is and what is not. And there's a lot I could talk about regarding self-diagnosis. We would need to talk about the environment and the people who surround you. And because of this, I would like to make a separate video talking about depression and everything related to it. But before we go any further, I would like to ask you to connect with me on all social media and please read the video description. There are some things I want to tell you about in it. The reason I'm talking about depression is because I had it for more than 20 years. The whole process started when I was 9, when my mom left, and it defined and negatively affected the rest of my life. And I need to tell you that real depression is immune to modern medicine. I heard so many stories about people using antidepressants, and most of them were not helped. They currently use selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, so-called SSRIs, can only address the symptoms of depression. They do nothing about the cause of depression. So it is a temporary solution that has its own range of side effects. And from what I've read, it can be dangerous to take them. I myself have never tried them. I have no experience with antidepressants. I was always scared of what they do to people. And that's the reason I tried psychedelics. It is because I read so many stories about people curing their depression with magic mushrooms, ayahuasca, and so on. And recent studies actually confirm that. Modern medicine and pharmaceutical companies are getting more and more interested in the therapeutic effects of psychedelics because modern medicine is helpless when it comes to curing depression pretty much. And recent research confirmed that psilocybin resets a brain affected by depression. So I heard about the effects of psychedelics on Joe Rogan's podcast with Amber Lyon, and they talked about ayahuasca and magic mushrooms, and that was back in May 2015. And I decided that I've had enough and I need to try psychedelics. So after a few months in August 2015, I finally got access to Cubancy's B+ magic mushrooms, and I took 1 dried gram. And within 1 hour, for the first time in 2 decades, I felt normal. And I'll describe now what happened. First, within 30 minutes of me taking mushrooms, I felt an enormous rush of energy. I remember dancing and jumping to Nirvana songs for about half an hour, and I felt happy and relaxed like never before. After about 90 minutes, 2 machine elves showed up. And if you want to know more about who or what machine elves are, watch one of my earlier videos. When they showed up, they told me to lay down and they started operating on my brain. And this lasted for a few minutes, and the moment they finished, I felt huge emotional weight just falling off. They showed me a heavy concrete vest that I was trapped underneath the whole time. This vest was made of my fears and things that happened to me a long time ago that were not relevant to my current life. They showed me all my prejudice and my ego, and all of this disappeared after they operated on my brain. And underneath this cast was a small little boy who I hadn't seen for many years. This little boy was the real me. And he was trapped there because I was pretending to be somebody else, because I was created by my fear and my depression. Machine elves explained to me that my whole persona and who I was at the age of 35 was a result of fear, depression, and the resulting need to be somebody else. I was my fear. I was a creation of my past experiences that didn't matter anymore, but I was still carrying them around as if this was a valid part of me. So now my depression was gone and I was free again. In the following months, they showed up a few more times to adjust some things in my brain, but that was pretty much it when it comes to curing my depression. But it quickly turned out that this was just the beginning. Then the fixing process started. And this is what I called mushroom and machine elf therapy. Within the next few years, they started their teachings, which consisted of providing me with theoretical knowledge and analysis, helping to fix myself. And they started from explaining the underlying cause of my depression, which was anxiety. I have anxiety to this day, but not to that extent. The reason I don't have it is because they explained what it was. They said that my anxiety was a result of a prolonged fear of my dad. The moment my mom left, my dad became a very stressed, very angry person, and he took it out on me. Machine Elf said that I sustained my depressive state because I stopped seeing anything positive in anything that was happening in my life. In my mind, everything had a negative outcome. And then they told me how to cure depression. The main thing they said was, you need to do things you like and enjoy. It seems depression is a result of depriving yourself of things that make you happy. And they said, when you came here, you were given an amazing gift that allows you to be happy, and it's imagination. Apparently, imagination allows you to rewrite your brain. Daydreaming is responsible for reprogramming who you are. They said relaxation is the medicine for fear. It's the only weapon against it. I found out that this actually has a scientific foundation. A scientist called Bruce Lipton explained that your body in relaxed state has a completely different biology than when you're stressed. Machine Elves told me to use the 434 filter on everything that I look at. They said every aspect of your life, when you want to learn from it or approach it, use 434 first. 434 is basically love, understanding, and lack of judgment. If you want to know more, watch one of my previous videos about Machine Elves explaining synchronicity. One of the most important things they said was that this positive, euphoric, emotional state on magic mushrooms is the default. This is what we should feel like in our lives. They said the good feeling you experience on psychedelics is to show you what your life could look like if you filled it with the 434 principles. And then, in the following months and years, they explained the reasons for my depression. They said that fear is a software virus in our brains. They said fear is a programming parasite. And the reason I have so much fear apparently is because I am paying attention to chaos for too long. They said you came from chaos, but it's time to rebuild yourself. And they said fear is removed in loving states and by loving emotions. They used a very interesting analogy to explain it to me. They said you grow your micro problems from tiny seeds into giant trees that block your view. You grow a forest that you carry in front of you throughout the day, and it stops you from seeing the world around you and what is important in life. Cut it down. Throw your problems away because they fill up all your emotional life. They said reacting to your negative thinking occupies your present moment and distracts you from love and gratitude. You need to keep an emotional open mind. And I also asked them about why it is that we get depressed. It's a difficult thing to have in your life. And they answered in one simple sentence. They said, you're here on a mission and all your pain is necessary. Sometime later they added, being in this life is incredible because you've been invited to take part in something very important and very unusual. It's an honor to be a part of this, and you need to respect it. They also said that a sane state of mind, which means not being affected by negative thinking and emotions and stimulants, is very important in this life, and it's quite rare among people, and this is something we should always strive to have in our life. That's what Machine Elves told me about depression. Now, I need to address one more thing, and that's microdosing. I recently read that some people believe that you can cure depression by microdosing. It's difficult for me to say if it really works like that because my depression was cured immediately with 1 gram of mushrooms. But I know this. Curing depression is made of 2 stages. The first one is the physical effect psilocybin has on your hormonal balance in your brain, and that might be cured with microdosing. But the second part of mushroom therapy is the spiritual experience and contact with the entities, and you will not achieve this with microdosing. So give it a try, it might help you, but if you're expecting to get the most out of the magic mushroom therapy, you need to have a dose of about 1 gram minimum. Thank you for listening. Please read the video description. Join me on all other social media. I'll talk to you next time.